Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to study about the types of operating system, and the types that we are going to consider would be based on the functionality that the OS provides. So the first is single tasking. So what is basically done in a single tasking operating system? So in a single tasking operating system, only one process is given to the RAM. So the RAM only executes one process. Now this kind of operating system is very inefficient because we know that the RAM can do a lot of calculations and everything in just a few seconds, which means that it runs really fast. So we could have done a lot of things, but when IO comes, that is the input output, in that case it takes a bit of time. So when the IO is being done, the process is still on the RAM. So this takes a lot of time in which we would have done multiple other processes. That is why it is very inefficient. Now the next type is multi-programming or multitasking. So what is an OS where we have multi-programming or multitasking done? So in multi-programming, what happens is that we assign a new process to the RAM when the IO of a process is being done. So basically we assign a process, and when everything is done and only the IO part is left, we unassign it from the RAM and assign another process, and that gets executed. So this way we save a lot of time. Now what is multitasking? So basically multitasking is sort of an extension of multi-programming, where what we do is we provide time slots to different processes. Now what we are doing in multitasking is basically that we do multi-programming in which we provide time slots to them. And when we provide time slots, then we are still doing multi-programming, but we have a better way to do it. Then after multi-programming or multitasking, the third type that we have is the most popular one, that is multi-threading, and it's one of the most asked questions of operating systems as well. Now what does multi-threading do? Now what we studied in multi-programming is that we run various programs. Now what we do in multi-threading is that in a single program we create multiple threads, and the interleaving thing that was happening earlier for programs is now happening within the program itself or within the process itself. And a benefit of multi-threading is that switching from one thread to another is less costlier than switching from one process to another. So multi-threading is even more beneficial than multi-programming or multitasking. Then the fourth type is multi-processing. So what is multi-processing? So basically multi-processing is where we do a process in a process or a thread in a process. So we distribute it into even smaller fragments, even smaller than threads, and then they are assigned times. Like in multi-threading, we saw that we break it into small threads and then we run them. Now here also what we are doing is that even threads are broken into smaller parts, into multi-processes. So we do a multi-processing thing. And then finally the last one is multi-user. In case of multi-user, what we are basically doing is that we allow several users to log in on the same system. And nowadays almost every OS gives you the feature of multi-user. We can see that when we log in, we are asked if you are a guest or if you are this particular person. So that's a basic example of multi-user. Now current modern day OS use all these four things. It's not like they use just one of them. They use all four: multi-programming, multitasking, multi-threading, multiprocessing, multi-user. All the modern OS, whether it be Windows, whether it be Linux, or whether any other. And an example of single tasking would be MS-DOS. It was a single tasking operating system that was launched by Microsoft in the initial stages of its becoming, and that's where Microsoft started its journey. So that's MS-DOS, which was a single tasking operating system at a time when operating system was a tough task for people to launch. So MS-DOS is a very famous example of a single tasking operating system, and even today in operating system the world is led by Mac, Linux and Microsoft itself.